Bang, what's going on, fight fans? We are back for another episode of Tarps Off MMA, presented by tarpsoffsports.com. Jack Gotsell, myself, Chris Mancuso here. It is fight week, UFC 259. We have 3 title fights on the card, Jack. Let's just jump right into the 3 main fights here. I think everybody is just jazzed up for these. We have Jan taking on Sterling. Bantamweight fight. Now, Jack, people out there say it, and I tend to kind of agree with them. Jan's title rise to being champion, little underwhelming. Do you agree with that that stigma that's around? Because I think I do.
Extremely underwhelming. His road to get there was beating Uriah Faber, who was a great fighter, but not when he fought him.
Past his prime.
He beat Uriah Faber past his prime. He then was kind of gifted the title match between Aldo. And we all know Aldo has been not even close to the same since he lost to Conor McGregor. So he didn't beat either of those guys even close to their peak. And now he's finally defending his title for the first time against Sterling. And we saw what Sandhagen did to Frankie Edgar. I mean, Sandhagen's an absolute beast. He's an animal. Sterling submitted him, I believe, in round 1, I think it was. So, I mean, he has absolutely fought the cream of the crop to get to this title shot. And he's going to come in there hungry. I think Sterling comes in here with the upset over Jan, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Dude, we're right on the same wavelength today. I agree. I think Jan is a vulnerable champion, probably the most vulnerable champion on this card. And I think that includes Błachowicz fighting Adesanya, because, you know, Adesanya, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, his weight and everything. I still think that if you were to say which title for sure changes hands, I'm still taking this fight. I'm going against Jan.
I would even double down and say if Sandhagen was in this fight instead of Sterling, I would pick Sandhagen over Jan. I think he's the third best guy in that division. And I know that's a hot take, but we're going to find out.
We're certainly going to find out, man. It's an interesting fight. I think the bantamweight division needs a little spice. I like Sterling, man. I think that he has a lot to bring to the division. I think he would be more of a fighter for the people and for the fans. I mean, we all know what Dana White has said about Jan in the past. He doesn't really seem to respect him as the champion.
Well, I mean, he did give him that shot, which shows something. I mean, he believes he has a lot of promise, I think, but now that he's here, he's trying to sell the fights, and it's not really working. It's not really believable. It's not getting me in, and there's a reason this is the 3rd fight down of the championship fights. It's because this
it's right where it
really
belongs.
sell as well. Yeah,
it's right where it belongs. It's exactly it. I wouldn't, like, you know, even though it's a title fight, I wouldn't be so stoked if that was the main event. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. Now, a fight that I am stoked for, man, Amanda Nunes taking on Meagan Anderson. That is an interesting fight. Anderson has never been knocked out. Amanda Nunes is pound for pound the toughest motherfucker on the planet, man or woman. I think there's men that Amanda Nunes would fucking drop. Like she's the GOAT for me. She's the queen of women's fighting. But listen, Meagan Anderson is no joke. She is very tough, very hungry. It's going to be a great fight at the women's bantamweight division. I mean, if Nunes wins this fight, man, she might be the greatest UFC fighter ever. Man or woman. Man or woman. I mean,
if you look at her losses, they came earlier in her career. She's been an absolute wrecking ball. She's the featherweight champion, and the UFC doesn't even really have a women's featherweight division. She beat Cyborg. She's beaten Ronda Rousey. She's beaten every single
Holly She's beaten them all, bro. Yeah,
every fighter they've thrown her way that was supposed to be the girl that was going to beat her. She's taken them out, and she's taken them out in devastating, dominant fashion.
Yeah, man, she's an absolute killer. I think that's been pretty obvious since she came in, and I think she really cemented herself when she beat Ronda Rousey. Everybody kind of thought Ronda Rousey was untouchable. I think dare to say Ronda Rousey even thought Ronda Rousey was untouchable. She came in, absolutely smacked her. Now, Jack, I want to let the people know that they can go to mybookie.ag and use promo code Tarps Off Season, SZN. If you're in Canada, I guess it's SZ. And I have an interesting bet on mybookie.ag where if you put in that promo code, Jack, you'll get 50% deposit bonus on every dollar you upload. Free money. Let's crush the bookie this week. You know what I like? There is here. Where is it? I'm just pulling it up. Nunes by decision or technical decision is plus 450. If Anderson can just stand in and take the beating and you get to take Amanda Nunes at plus money like that, I don't know. Do you think she's going to just sleep this girl? I mean, if anybody's going to sleep someone, it's Nunes. But if anybody's going to survive Nunes, it's Anderson. This is tough.
That's exactly how I feel. There's a reason it's gambling. It's not supposed to be easy.
No, it's not supposed to be easy. But at plus 450, man, that is a juicy line. If you think Amanda Nunes will win, but will have to actually beat Anderson around the ring for 5 rounds, we'll certainly see what happens in that fight. I think Nunes is going to win, but can she finish Anderson? That remains to be seen.
We'll see. If anybody can finish Anderson, it is Amanda Nunes.
If anybody's going to finish anybody, it's Amanda Nunes. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder right now, making sure me and Johnny Sins aren't going to get knocked out by Amanda Nunes, even for suggesting she's not going to win by a knockout. So Amanda Nunes, we love you. Shout out to her. She's the GOAT. Last fight, main event of the evening. Jan Błachowicz taking on Adesanya. Isreal Adesanya is coming up to the light heavyweight division from middleweight. Now, he's saying that he might not even come in at 205. His thinking is maybe 193, 194. We'll see. Sometimes I think guys like to play head games too, thinking maybe he ain't going to come in that big. I heard him say he's going to order some Uber Eats though, and have a real nice week of eating during fight week. His nutrition guys on top of it. Jan has, Błachowicz has struggled against fast guys, but weight advantage. If he comes in at 193, and the big Polish machine comes in walking around at once you put the water weight back on after weighing and everything, give it 12 or 13 pounds. So now he's sitting, and it might be more. He's sitting, 217 to 220 as opposed to Israel's 193. Could you see that causing problems in this fight, or is Izzy too fast, too hard to hit? Because if you're trying to impose your will on them, right? That has to be the game plan.
Well, you saw what Corey Anderson said on Twitter. He said that he fought Jan in his first fight, and he was lighter and he was quicker, and Jan struggled with him, and Corey Anderson got the win. When he fought Jan a second time, he came in bigger and was slower, and Jan had a field day with him. And MMA Twitter has taken this to new levels. When Adesanya said he's coming in weighing lower, they freaked out. And then the very next day they came and were like, well, he's taller. So he is. At the end of the day,
knees are going to be a factor if you're trying to, if Jan's looking to get the dirty box and the dirty clinch game going, he does have to be wary of Adesanya's ability to knee him in the jaw as the taller fighter. But man, again,
and it's not all about the tail of the tape. At the end of the day, it comes down to skills. And Adesanya is
so skilled,
overwhelming in that skill department, and he is quick. If Jan wins by laying on him for 5 rounds, I wouldn't be surprised. If Adesanya dices him up for 5 rounds, I wouldn't be surprised either.
You think Adesanya can stop him? Do you think he can stop him?
I've said that Adesanya can't stop people before, and he's made me look stupid. So I'm kind of have some PTSD from that, and don't really want to go on the record and say, no, I don't think he can stop him. But I think the more likely fighter to get a stoppage is Jan. But Adesanya has taught me to not ever say he cannot stop somebody.
Yeah, yeah. If you go look into cash receipts on Adesanya's ass, you're gonna learn fast because that guy is special, man. He's a special fighter. He's skilled. You know, all these guys and girls in the promotion are obviously amazing. We try to look at things from a technical point, but we're fans too, right? So I know what happens when Twitter gets all worked up. I get all worked up too sometimes and say some things that I don't necessarily think, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that fight. Now, let's talk about Jon Jones. Jon Jones going up to heavyweight. He leaves the light heavyweight division. Now Adesanya comes up. Do you think that timing is strange? And do you think if Izzy wins the belt, Jon will maybe just fight one fight at heavyweight, the winner of Stipe's fight, and then possibly go down? Because I mean, if Adesanya gets the belt, if you're Jon Jones, that's like you want to cement yourself as the greatest fighter of all time. I mean, I think if he can go up and snatch the heavyweight title and then come down to try to snatch the light heavyweight title, I mean, look at Nunes, look at what they're doing with Izzy, look at McGregor before him and other guys in the promotion. Multiple belt holders is normal, and I think Jon Jones is athletic enough that he could come back down after going up.
Well, to be honest, I don't think the timing is actually strange. I think Adesanya really picked apart that division, and he really didn't have too much of a choice but to move up and take a bigger fight. And it's about building himself up and making himself have a legacy. I mean, this is a huge task going up to light heavyweight and winning this fight. Now, for Jon Jones, he's going to go to heavyweight. I know that people are like, well, if Adesanya wins, he might fight him. And that could be true, but not in his next fight. His next fight is going to be at heavyweight. However, if he wins that heavyweight belt or he loses and Adesanya wins this, either way, I think he could go back down there because he is worried about that GOAT status. He wants to retire the greatest fighter in mixed martial arts history. That is priority number one for Jon Jones.
And it should be.
So, yeah. So either way this goes, like his heavyweight debut, whether he wins or loses, I think it depends on whether Adesanya wins this fight. I don't think he's too interested in going back down to fight Jan because I think he's fought fighters like Jan. I think he would beat Jan.
Yeah,
I think Jon Jones truly believes that as well, and he doesn't see that as a challenge. Now, if Adesanya beats Jan, I think he becomes a challenge. I think he becomes a target and someone that's threatening Jon Jones' legacy at that light heavyweight division, and I think he goes down there to get his belt back.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. I think that's something you could definitely see. It's going to be crazy. It has the fans talking big time. Speaking of talking, Casey Kenny is fighting Dominick Cruz. We all remember Kenny's podcast appearance there where, you know, speaking of Meagan Anderson, we were talking then, it was disrespectful because they're on the same card. Here's the card now.
Well, it's disrespectful if they weren't on the same card.
No, well, yeah, but I mean, even worse that she had to go in and fight on the same damn card as him after he said that he wouldn't smash her and called her a 5 or whatever. That's pretty rude. But we have Dominick Cruz fighting for the first time since what, like 26? Hasn't he been out of the fight?
He fought once in 2020. He fought Henry Cejudo, and it was the first time he was ever knocked out.
He got knocked out, right? But he hasn't fought
before that. Yeah, before that, he hadn't fought since 2016. But Dominick Cruz is like, he's the best at what he does. There's a reason he's such a good analyst, and it's because he's mastered the like skills of mixed martial arts. Nobody moves like Dominick Cruz. He's so hard to hit, and he comes at these combos with just sensational footwork, footwork that you can't even teach. So I mean, Dominick Cruz can make any fight interesting, and it's always a fun fight. When have you seen Dominick Cruz in a boring fight? I don't think these fights are boring. Which, I mean, the alpha male team will say, oh, well, he doesn't finish people. But it's not boring watching. I mean, yeah, Dominick Cruz doesn't necessarily finish people a lot. But he's always throwing. He's always on offense.
He comes forward a lot, man. He's a forward fighter. 100%.
He goes sideways, too. Like, his movement is just out of this world.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody moves like Dominick Cruz.
No, I think that's going to be a good fight, and I think Buddy might end up meeting some karma for those stupid comments. I like Cruz in that fight personally. I think he's going to get him.
There's ranked fights all over the card. Like when you go and look at it, Benavidez is on this card. He's hidden away in the prelims. Dominick Cruz, like Kai Kara France. Like there's so many ranked fights that have like title implications, maybe not immediate, but down the road title implications from the first prelim fight all the way through the main event. This is awesome.
Man. This is one of the best cards.
Christmas.
Yeah, dude, this is Christmas in March. Shout out to Dana White and the UFC for putting a great promotion together here and a great event card. It's stacked, 3 title fights. Love to see it, Jack. But you know what, buddy? I need to get some more work done to make sure that our live stream on Twitter will be the best product.
We got to talk about one more thing, though.
Party. What's that?
There were some cuts in the UFC.
Oh, right. Shout out to Alistair Overeem and Junior Dos Santos. Both guys were unfortunately cut by the UFC. I mean, I'm not surprised Dos Santos has lost his last 4 fights. Mind you, they were versus like Ngannou, Blades, and guys of that nature. Rosenstruck. Yeah, so we lost all to the title contenders, but 4-fight losing streak, you understand it. Overeem, I know he just lost to Volkov or whatever, but I thought he looked good enough that they would show the 40-year-old some respect. He is good enough to be there. I think he ends up in Bellator or possibly in Bare Knuckle FC. You can check that article out at tarpsoffsports.com. You can catch Tarps Off MMA on Twitter at Tarps Off MMA. And Jack Gotsell is Jack Gotsell, just his name, JackGotsell. And I'm Chris Mancuso, C Mancuso 9797. Guys, we'll see you at 259. Join us on Twitter, live watch party. We're getting fight drunk. It'll be violent. Let's get it.